Today we're counting down my top 5 least favorite or worst roller coasters that I've ridden. These are attractions that I strongly dislike. And the only reason I'm doing 5 of this is because I really couldn't find more than 5 that I strongly dislike. I think it's unfair to say you hate a roller coaster. I'm going to say strongly dislike, because as roller coaster enthusiasts, it's our job to love these attractions and love these rides. And I know sometimes you're not going to get the best rides in some rides, and these rides, I've even heard some people like these attractions. So I don't think it's fair to say that I hate this ride, or I'm not going to advocate for its demise or that it's torn down or anything like that. I think that's unfair. But these are rides that I got very poor rides on, and you'd have to pander me quite a bit to get me back on some of these attractions. So let's start off with the number 5 spot, which is Flight Deck at Canada's Wonderland. This is a Vekoma SLC that has those traditional hard shell restraints that Vekoma used with most of their SLCs. And I banged my head quite a bit. I strongly dislike this ride, and this is my least favorite ride at Canada's Wonderland. I know a lot of people are going to say, where's Time Warp? I actually like Time Warp. That was a fun attraction. I know a lot of people do not like that attraction at all and say it's one of the worst roller coasters ever created, but Time Warp for me was a good ride. Flight Deck was by far the worst coaster at Canada's Wonderland, and I just got bad ride on it. I don't know. I have no plan on riding this in the future. If I ever get back to Canada's Wonderland, that'll be one of the coasters. They have so many coasters there. That is one that I will be skipping out on when I get up back there. Not a huge fan of it. Did have some cool theming, though. I will say that really surprised me. So I'm not a huge fan of the ride, but the queue itself was actually pretty cool and a lot more themed than I had expected, because I know Canada's Wonderland is not really known for being a theme park. They do have some themed areas, but it's not really a theme park. So I'm not a huge fan of Flight Deck. I thought it was really rough and not enjoyable. So it's my number 5. Number 4 is a ride at my home park of King's Dominion. This is Anaconda, the aerodynamics looping coaster. Not a big fan of this ride. Every year I start on like a bold claim that I'm never going to ride it again, and I always end up riding it again. But it's not a ride that I am keen to get on. You really have to talk me into getting on this ride. And maybe if there's like a lot of long lines around the park and Anaconda's a short line, I'll jump on. But it's definitely not a ride that I look forward to riding. It's not a ride that I ever make a point to ride when I'm at King's Dominion. I don't enjoy it. I think it's very rough. I think its layout's kind of boring. And it has no value to me other than, its historical significance, which, isn't really that great. It's not that historically of a significant ride, but I realize that it is an aero looper and a lot of people love those. And in terms of Aero as a company, that's a historical company. So I respect what this ride has done for the industry, but I'm not a huge fan of it, and really am not going to jump on this ride unless, like I said, there's a significant reason to. Number 3 is T3 at Kentucky Kingdom, another Vekoma SLC, and I just did not really find this enjoyable at all. This doesn't have those over-the-shoulder hard shell restraints like Flight Deck, but the restraints they do have suffocate you. They're really not good restraints. I know that they tried to fix that problem with the over-the-shoulder hard shell restraints like that, but then I think it's like the vest ones. They're not the vest like the new vests, like the B&M vest restraints, but they have like little straps on them, and they just kind of suffocate you. I did not like it. And then when you hit the brakes, it gets even tighter. Not a huge fan of it. However, I will say that Bob, our co-host of the podcast, rather enjoys this ride. So again, I'm not going to advocate for its demise. I'm not going to say it needs to be torn down or anything that crazy. It's just not one of my favorite rides. I thought it was really bad. It was really rough. But again, there are some people that like it, some people not. So just because it's my least favorite doesn't mean that other people don't enjoy it. So that being said, let's move on to the number 2 spot, which is Vortex at Carowinds. This is a ride that I've always hated. I've never gone to, or I'm not going to say hate, strongly dislike. This is a ride that I've gone to Carowinds many times, ridden it over the years, and have never enjoyed it once. I've never gotten a ride on it where I'm like, oh wait, that isn't that bad. Every time I get on it, it just destroys me in every place imaginable. Your head will get shaken around. For the men out there, your groin area gets kind of damaged, if you know what I'm talking about. It is not an enjoyable experience as far as I go. And I don't even mind stand-up coasters. I liked Apocalypse at Six Flags America. I liked Shockwave at King's Dominion. I'm not against stand-ups by any means. Vortex just doesn't do it, and I like B&M too. So it's hard for me to dislike one of their coasters, but this one just does not do it for me. It really, really causes me some pain. So not a huge fan of Vortex at Carowinds. So now we've made it to our number 1 spot, which is Mighty Canadian Mindbuster at Canada's Wonderland. I'm just now realizing I contradicted myself. I earlier said that Flight Deck was my least favorite coaster at Canada's Wonderland. I had forgotten that my number 1 was Mighty Canadian Mindbuster. So I was wrong about that. This is the very, very, very bad rough wooden coaster at Canada's Wonderland. There's so many coasters, people will say, oh, that's a bad rough wooden coaster. This is the staple definition in my book of a bad rough wooden coaster. I like Grizzly at King's Dominion. I like Wildcat at Hershey Park. I like Roar at Six Flags America. There are so many different rides that people say are rough wooden coasters that are bad and everything. I like most of them. This is by far the worst roller coaster I've ever ridden. It gave me a cramp. It was so bad. I've never come off a roller coaster with a cramp. Like I said, Vortex Carowinds, hurt your junk. T3 will suffocate you, and it kind of hurt your head instead of Flight Deck. But this gave me a literal cramp in my stomach, and I wanted to die. 75% of that ride, I wanted to die. The first hill and the couple first airtime hills, I'm like, oh, this is nice. And then we kept going and going and going, and I'm like, oh my gosh, if I don't get off this ride, I'm going to puke. It was so bad, not enjoyable. A terrible attraction. So again, I'm not going to advocate for its destruction because I'm sure there's a lot of people that might enjoy it. I don't know. Canada's Wonderland people, if you enjoy this ride, so be it. It might be like Grizzly. Maybe some people get bad rides on it. Again, I'm not going to advocate for its destruction. I'm probably never going to ride it again, even if I get to Canada's Wonderland, unless I hear a response from people that are like, hey, this is actually a very good attraction. Rewrite it. Then I may consider a re-ride when I get back up there. But as far as I'm concerned, it was a terrible ride. I don't want to get back on it. I'm not going to say I hate it. I know I'm not going to say I hate it because that's not fair to hate a ride. I don't hate any roller coaster, but that is my least favorite coaster by far. It's rough. It's not enjoyable. It's painful. It gives no value to me whatsoever. So that is my top 5 least favorite or worst roller coasters that I believe I've ridden. If you want to give me your list down on the bottom, if any of the rides that I listed are similar, or hey, maybe some of the ones I listed you love, tell me. Let me know. It's a conversation. We're all sitting here in this pandemic, trying to figure out what to do right now. So we can have a little bit of a discussion down there. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys all next time. Bye, guys.